Good afternoon, fellow YouTube DVD and Blu-ray aficionados. It's a nice sunny Sunday here, so that's a good thing. But what is not a good thing is the subject of this video. As I'm sure most people know by now, because I'm actually a few days late recording this video, I just didn't have enough time to do it, but I wanted to address this issue, if we want to call it that. Earlier this week, it was announced that The Simpsons on DVD is ending, DVD and Blu-ray. Essentially, what it means is they're not going to be putting out any more Simpsons on physical media. It looks like it's going to be stopping at, season 20. We have season 1 to 17 and season 20 on DVD, and seasons 13 to 17 and 20 on Blu-ray. And a lot of people are speculating that this is one of the first major, maybe not even one of the first, but definitely a major death knell in physical media. I don't really think this necessarily harbingers that, because there are a lot of sets that still sell. Now, obviously, TV on DVD is starting to plummet. There are reasons for that. I think a major one is there are a lot of shows that still are not being released on Blu-ray, even though they're aired in high definition. So for a lot of people, they don't want to get the lower quality on DVD, and they're still, relatively speaking, fairly expensive, although, to be honest, perhaps not as expensive if you were to buy a streaming subscription. Now, the ultimate cancellation of The Simpsons on DVD was actually announced in a Twitter by current showrunner Al Jean. And basically, the argument is that the market is dying, thanks in part to piracy. Now, I'm going to address the piracy issue in a moment, because I think this is actually, in many ways, the way they've actually done this is a really stupid way of combating piracy. But I think we also need to address really how, in some ways, poorly The Simpsons on DVD has been handled. If you look at how many seasons we have right now, we have 17 seasons. 18 if you include the single release of season 20. But this is a show that first debuted on DVD in 2001. I'm trying to remember, I think it was the fall of 2001, so 13, almost 14 years at this point, and they put out 18 seasons. If you want to compare it to other popular shows, just take example Star Trek. Between 2002 and 2005 on DVD, everything from every series was released. That's The Next Generation, the original series, which was re-released at that point, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, the animated series. So I think that's the problem right there. I think it was for years they'd been milking it, where for a while you were getting it every second year or two a year. Lately it seems to have been, maybe we're lucky if we get one a year. Now they're stopping it altogether. And I think even though the price didn't change, I know a lot of people were kind of pissed off with the really cheap cardboard packaging that they started using for season 11, which I recently picked up seasons 11 through 14 on DVD, mainly because they were cheap with a Boxing Week sale for $10 a season. So that's the only reason I didn't pick them up on Blu-ray. But even the earlier seasons, up to I think it was 2009, 2010, when the show actually started. Obviously it's not shot. It was made for high definition. Previous to that, it was still standard definition, but I've heard that the Blu-rays actually do look a little bit better. The colors are crisper. The lines are cleaner. So if it was just up to me, or, if they were still selling for a similar price, I probably would have gone for the Blu-ray, but in this case, I went for the DVDs just because they were 1/5 the price of the Blu-rays. And I think when it comes to The Simpsons right now, I'm not that picky about the quality of some of the later seasons. But I think, it's kind of shitty that they spent almost 14 years putting them out. There are a lot of people that have been, collecting them since they first came out back in 2001. And now the collection is largely incomplete. Now, I think the other issue, before I go into the piracy, is why some people necessarily are not that bothered. What we know of The Simpsons, especially after season 17 and definitely after season 20, and even long before that, it's not the show that it was. If you're looking for classic seasons of The Simpsons or classic episodes, they're all on DVD. There's nothing that really seems to have stuck out to me since, well, or at least in the period of, the show that's not going to be coming out on DVD. Now, with that said, I haven't actually watched the show on a regular basis since 2008. And everyone has their episode of The Simpsons that kind of made them stop watching. Mine was, and really it wasn't even the episode itself. It was a disappointing episode after a show that I wasn't interested in anymore. Mine, or the one that made me lose interest, was their 90s show, which I think was February or March 2008, somewhere around there. And it was just, you were a show that was around for the entire decade, and this is the best that could come up with. After that, I stopped making it a point to watch it on Sundays. I didn't PVR it anymore after that point. I caught the occasional one, and unfortunately, one of the occasional ones that I caught happened to be the Lady Gaga episode, which is not only the worst episode of The Simpsons I've ever seen, but I think one of the worst half hours of television I've ever seen, period. But, I am fully willing to admit there are probably some decent episodes in the last probably 5 to 10 years. I just haven't seen them, and I've seen very little since 2008, maybe 10 episodes altogether. But that's kind of beside the point. When you look at really what they've done, the idea was, or the quote was, to fight piracy. Well, this is not really going to help that. For the simple fact is, the alternative, if you want to watch episodes of The Simpsons without having DVD, is their new Simpsons website. I'm actually just going to pull it up here to show you why this is problematic, especially if you are outside of the United States. Okay, so simpsonsworld.com. And keep in mind, I'm in Canada. So if you're a Canadian and, say you're not a pirate, you don't torrent, you're a Simpsons fan, like many people, you don't have cable anymore, so you can't watch what's on cable. You'd like to buy remaining episodes of The Simpsons, but you can't. They're not available, so you go to this site. So simpsonsworld.com. Thank you for your interest in FX networks. The content you are trying to access is not available in your region. So really, this is bullshit. What they've done is essentially told people, after season 17, if you're outside of the United States, unless you have cable or you can watch them on TV, you won't get access to this content at all. So in terms of combating piracy, I see this as being a really problematic step. And even if it was open, I'm not a fan of streaming content, never have been, never will be, and I know a lot of other people aren't. And it's one of the factors depends on where you live. In Canada, our ISPs are absolutely horrible. Our data usage caps are useless. I have to monitor my internet usage daily because I'm always so close to going over, and we pay $4 a gigabyte if we go over. Right now I have, for the internet that I have the highest allotted package, which is 120 gigs per month, and I think you can buy them in packages of 60 after that. But every month I come pretty close to it, and if you go over, it's $4. So the technology for video, and especially high-definition content, has not caught up to the point that justifies getting rid of physical media. It's not the same as music because, to be honest, music doesn't take up that much. You're downloading albums from iTunes. It's not going to have a massive impact on your internet usage. And most music companies are still making their albums available in physical format for the handful of people that still buy physical media. So when it comes to music, that's still an option. You can still buy a physical disc if you want. For most TV shows and movies, it's still an option. You can still buy a physical format. But the problem is that the technology in many cases just isn't there to support streaming media. If you're not a quality junkie, then by all means stream. But also, internet services are not only in terms of the usage cap, but my internet with the Canadian company that I'm with has always been unreliable. There are times when it doesn't work whatsoever. Early over Christmas, I had no internet for 2 weeks, and it drops out. So it's the internet reliability issue. There's also the issue of the quality of streaming itself. When you're watching something in high definition through streaming media, it's actually a compressed format. It's not the same quality that you're going to get from a Blu-ray. So there's a problem right there as well. Even if you didn't have bandwidth issues and you had reliable internet, there's still just the issue that streaming content just is not the quality that you're going to get from a Blu-ray. It isn't. That's just the fact of life. Also, in terms of downloading, if you're going to look at, say your average Blu-ray, 50 gigabytes, well, say if you have a 1 terabyte hard drive, then it's really not going to take a lot of time to use up that whole hard drive with movies. Storage capacity on computers has not kept pace for years. It was doubling exponentially every few years. But storage media plateaued really 3-4 years ago, and we haven't really seen any major difference in mechanical drives are almost maxed out, and there is solid state, but they're slowly increasing the size. But physical media, unless you have, like in my case, my computer case, I think I can put up to 6 hard drives in there. But even that, I get the highest capacity, which in most places you're going to go is about 4 terabytes. That's still going to fill up fairly quickly. So in terms of downloading it, if you want the quality, that's not an option. It will not be an option for a long time. Hard drive capacity isn't there. And there's the other issue, which is why I don't support streaming media. I've had the occasional Netflix subscription just because it's cheap, and I wasn't paying attention once and ended up with a massive overcharge on my cable bill, which is one of the other reasons why I don't use it. I dropped the quality so it looked like complete crap. But you buy a subscription service to the various services that are out there. I won't name them specifically, but you know what they are. I've named Netflix, obviously. But you have access to the material, but there's no guarantee that it's actually going to be there, because rights disappear. There are some things that are only available on one service, other things are only available on another service, and then they'll disappear. And, if I'm going to buy or spend my money to get a TV show or get a movie, I want to know that I still have access to it. I don't want something that's unreliable where, I'm sorry, the subscription rights to this have expired or some bullshit like that. And it's also that there's the issue of the collector market. It's different for music. If you're a music or a book collector, the other two things that have gone digitally, if you're a book collector, because the experience with reading a book on screen versus reading a physical book, books will always be around, just they'll become a niche market. If you're a music fan, even if CDs disappear completely, which they probably will, if you want the physical item, there's vinyl. And even at the height of the popularity of music, vinyl was still, at least in the collector's market, it was still popular. But if you're a movie fan, because of this streaming crap, if we get to the point where DVDs and Blu-rays and physical media are going to be stopped completely, there is no way that you can physically collect them, because the only option is DVD and Blu-ray. Now, you typically want to collect it in the highest format possible, so it would make sense that would be on a Blu-ray. I'm starting to lose hope in the whole 4K revolution, at least in terms of physical media, the way things are going right now, but you want the highest quality possible. But this also applies to DVD. There are a lot of older TV shows, like the first 12 seasons of The Simpsons, that are only standard definition, and most of them would not really benefit from a upconvert to a Blu-ray. So in many cases, DVD is the best physical format you can get. Now, that being said, you can take a standard definition television show, convert it to Blu-ray and put it in the highest bit rate possible. So it's still going to be standard definition, but it'll be the best quality possible, because there is quality loss due to low bit rate and things like that with DVDs. One example is the Doctor Who releases, which in Region 1 it's only come out in a box set, but the first 4 series, which were only shot in high definition, are on Blu-ray. I've seen previews of them. They do look better than the DVD releases just because of that higher bit rate. If they're affordable at some point, I'll pick them up. But I guess I'm kind of detracting from the main thing here. I think discontinuing The Simpsons was a shitty move. It's not going to combat piracy. It's going to make it worse. And it's pretty obvious at this point that it was only to support the Simpsons World website, which is not accessible to really anything out of the United States. And they said they're working to correct this, which they won't. But even if they do, it's a streaming site, and a lot of us just are not fans of streaming websites. The only digital movie that I ever put, or digital copy that I put on my computer, was crap, which I didn't really cover in this, but I'm a quality fan. I'm not a fan of digital media unless it can get to the point where it is the same quality that you can get on a DVD or on a Blu-ray, and that is years away, if ever, because the technology in terms of storage, in terms of delivery, in terms of everything, it just is not to that level yet and won't be for a long time. But anyways, that's just my thoughts on the Simpsons collection. I'm debating whether or not I'm going to pick up the final seasons that are available on DVD, or just let it go. Because if they're going to make things inaccessible to me, then why would I support them for the rest of the seasons? But if at some point you see a DVD update where I have seasons 15, 16, 17, and 20, then, I change my mind, but really it would have to be pretty cheap in a bargain bin for about $5 for me to do it at that point. But anyways, everyone, thank you for watching, and have a great day.